somebody had asked me if I'd put a video up of me demonstrating how to make knives and go through all the processes of it. I am going to do that. It's hard for me to find time since I have school throughout the day, and then I get home, and then I got other chores and stuff that I got to do. But I'll have one up as soon as I can get around to it. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about one of the knives that I made. I made this one with a puko style handle. At least I think that's how you pronounce it. The steel is made from a table saw blade, a 10-inch one, and it's a carbon steel, 1/16 of an inch thick, and you can tell it's really strong. I'm pushing this about as hard as I can. I split wood with this, and it goes right through it. I got a Scandinavian grind on it, so that's the only bevel in the whole knife is right there, and it goes through wood grate like this. You wouldn't think it would just because it's so thin and it's got all this flat portion up here, but it goes through it good. The handle on this, I got oak wood scales, and I made a big handle so it feels really good in my hand. It's really rounded. Then I've got these two spots here for me to put my fingers on like this if I needed to carve something like that, because this is kind of a bushcraft style knife. It's got a really sharp point on it, mainly due to the thickness of the knife, how thin it is. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how I make the knives. First, I'll just take like the saw blade, I'll draw it out on there, and then I'll cut it out with a grinder. Then after I do that, I'll take 2 blocks of wood, and I'll make sure they're almost the same thickness as the blade is, and almost the same length that I want it, so I don't have to do as much work. Then I'll take the blade, and I'll drill holes through it, wherever I want the pins to be, and then I'll sit the wood slab on one side, drill a hole through that, and drill a hole through the other side of the wood. So then I'll have holes to put the pins through in the wood, the knife blade, and the other piece of wood scale. And then I'll take and cover the handle portion of the knife in Gorilla Glue, and then I'll put both of the wood slabs on there, and then I'll put the pins through it, and then let it set up, and then I basically shape it with the belt sander from there until it gets to a shape that I like. And then for the edge, I just freehand the edge on the belt sander. But it took me a little while to get good at doing the edges on the knives, but now I seem to get them pretty consistent about how I want them. Pretty much exact same angle on both sides of the knife. But that took longer to do than anything. And how I got this black finish on the blade is I took a torch and I just went over it a couple times, and it didn't do any damage to the blade or anything like that, because I was keeping the factory heat treat of the saw blade, which is pretty hard, but it's not so hard that the knife dents up or anything like that. But it's a really strong knife for this size, and I just wanted to show this knife that I made. And here's another knife that I'd made in another video. This one was made out of that file. I kind of showed the process of making this one in just a slideshow of pictures. But I got the handle scales back off of it right now, because I put this in the oven at 450 degrees, so the blade would be softer, and I made it a full flat grind now. But it's the same knife. So that's the main thing that I just wanted to show in this video. And just to tell you that I will be putting up a video as soon as I have the time of me making a knife.